Welcome to the Way It Should Be. I'm Dean.
I'm JD. Today we've added someone new to the podcast here. We got Chad. Chad's come on as our producer slash social media guy.
What's up, Chad?
Hello. How you doing?
Chad, tell us about yourself. Who are you, Chad?
Chad. I'm
Fucking Chad.
Chad. Yeah.
He's not good at being on the mic. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm not.
He just helped us shoot this. Oh, Jesus. See, I was trying to catch that before that happened. He tried to help us with shooting a promo, and it turned out terrible, but it's going to turn out great with his
Yeah. I'm a
editing
behind the
skills.
scenes kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who are you? You were in the Army, Chad?
I was. Yes. 9 years.
9 years as a
Active duty.
stormtrooper.
Stormtrooper. Yeah. Pretty much.
God bless you.
Yeah. I was with the 4th Infantry. 2 tours to Iraq.
Cool.
Yeah.
He's definitely the most badass guy in this room, for sure.
I don't know about that. You're pretty cool.
I doubt that.
That's super sweet of you to say.
Yeah.
He's not
I'm
really
not, I'm
at
not
all.
at all. I'm a piece of shit, but that's okay.
So you wanted to talk about the debt some today.
Man, it's fucking wild, dude. This debt is crazy. One of the guys I was working with yesterday, man, he got me all fired up about the debt, and I was just going, I wish I could get back in that headspace because I was on fire with that stuff, dude. It's just wild. You know, what do you think the national the deficit for 2023 is? Fiscal year 2023.
I have no idea.
Officially, it's 1.7 trillion dollars.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
It's really not. It's actually $2 trillion. It's just it's not. They're not lying. It's just the way that the CBO scores the debt. I don't know the ins and outs of it enough to fucking tell you why it's actually $2 trillion.
Does that fluctuate with the value of our dollar?
No,
No.
not really.
So it's like a set price. Yeah.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is, like, I was trying to find a more recent article. This one came out in October, so I guess it's pretty recent actually. But this is off the Washington Post. It said the U.S. payments on the debt, just the interest payments, right? What we're talking about here. Guess how much that is? I want you to take a guess.
I don't even know. That number doesn't even register in my mind.
Yeah. I didn't even know we weren't paying it off.
No, we're not paying it off. This is just paying the interest.
Yeah,
just the interest on
Okay.
it. $659 billion for 1 year.
So-
Annually, yeah.
Yeah.
I just looked this up on the debt. 1,962 years. The U.S. national debt is currently at 30 trillion, which is equivalent.
It's not even at 30 trillion. It's almost at 34.
Yeah. So this article, this is a little bit old, which is
Yeah.
equivalent to 231,000 per U.S. household with an average income of $90,000 per person per year. It would take every U.S. household $1,000 per month towards covering the debt to pay it off.
Yeah.
And what's the time frame on that? Like, how long would it take to pay it off?
1,962 years. If everyone in the U.S. paid $1,000 a month.
Wow. And that's if we quit spending.
And that's if it just
it's
stopped
just
today.
we quit building on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know why this thing is doing this, but
So it's at $31.42 trillion. That's what the debt is.
And we just took, $100 billion for 2 wars that we're not even in?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just in person, how much this has grown? 2013, 16.7 trillion. So 10 years.
yeah.
In 2003, it was 6,570 billion. Let me say it again. 6,570 billion in 2003, 16.7 trillion in 2013. And what did I say? 31, almost 32 trillion now.
Yeah, it's said right now it sits at $33.692 trillion, which is the debt per citizen is $100,313 per United States citizen. So when you're
Wait,
born,
wait.
yeah,
Say that again.
every person right now in the United States that is a citizen of the United States owes $100,000 in government debt. If you were to if you spread it out among everybody, that's what your debt would be. They just gave it to everybody.
100,000, yeah.
You're born with $100,000
Like
in
my
debt.
son just born 2 months ago.
He's
Yeah.
$100,000 in
Owes the
debt.
He's
government
$100,000.
Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
to the government.
So what people say, so why do we care? What does it matter? I don't pay $1,000 a month. What do you say to those people? Because people are out there, they don't pay attention to
Hey,
that.
you know what you do pay for? You pay for food, you pay for gas, you pay for housing, you pay for everything else out there. And the more money that the government prints, the more all this shit costs.
Mhm.
That's just a fact. That's just the way it works.
That's why you should care. If you're someone
Yeah.
out there that's going, why do I care? I don't pay $1,000 a month.
Yeah, but you do pay.
But you
when you
do.
go down to Walmart and you buy 3 grocery bags half full of stuff and you drop $120,
So think
you
about
should
that.
fucking care about how much this debt goes up.
Think about that. In 2013, what did your grocery bill look like? When it was only 16.7 trillion in 2013. You bought that's
Has it
why
got those numbers on there?
in 2013 16.7 trillion.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we'll just think what your grocery
I'll tell you,
bill was
Here's a
in
story.
2013.
This is a story I like to tell people because my mom did it all the time. This is in the 90s, right? Back in the 90s, we'd go to Walmart to buy groceries, and she would load that basket up full of groceries. And I mean, this shit would be overflowing, this cart. And she did it every time we went grocery shopping. She dragged us with her. And every time we're unloading groceries into the house, she's going, this shit better last more than a week. I spent over $100 on this stuff. Over $100 a week on groceries. And it's just overflowing this basket.
If you loaded a basket full of groceries up right now, it'd be 500 easy.
Probably more than that.
Yeah, just yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why you should care. If you're one of those persons, however, out there that's like, I don't pay attention. Think about your grocery bill, what it was in 2003 compared to now. In 2003 we were at 6,570 billion
Yeah.
debt. So that's why you should care.
You
That's
know
why
what happened
people-
in 2003, right? We invaded Iraq. So we kicked
Oh,
off,
yeah.
kicked off our second war because we were already in Afghanistan
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when I'm not saying he's a good guy or anything, but when Bill Clinton left office, the government was running a surplus. And they were paying off the debt. Okay. George Bush gets in office. Okay, you could say, yeah, we got attacked on 9/11, whatever. There's people offering alternative solutions to invading Afghanistan to resolve that situation with Al Qaeda. That would have been far cheaper than what we ended up doing. But we didn't do that. We invaded that country. And then we started a second war. And so George Bush started racking up debt left and right. And then when he leaves, Obama gets in office and says, hey, man, hold my beer. And he doubled down on that debt. And then everybody's good friend, Donald Trump. Here comes Donald Trump, the little man's hero, right? The big savior, MAGA, drain that swamp, right? This fucking cocksucker gets in office, and he adds $7 trillion to the national debt in 1 year.
Yeah.
1 fucking year. I remember when they were sending everybody those checks, you know, those stimulus checks. Everybody was so happy to get those stimulus checks, right? I remember sitting there talking to my little sister saying, you know, these are great right now, but we're gonna get fucked in the end. Like you're not gonna feel it at this year. You might feel it next year or definitely the year after. But this shit's gonna bite us in the ass. You're gonna see massive inflation. Here we are, massive
Here we
inflation.
are. Yeah.
You know, it's crazy, JD. Did you know this? When they calculate the inflation numbers, you know what they don't include in them? Like what products are not included in the inflation?
No, I don't.
Do you know?
Oh.
They don't include the cost of housing, food, or fuel. They leave those numbers out when they calculate what inflation is. Like the only 3 things that really matter to anybody.
So this conversation was sparked by a clip you heard on a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to explain that clip and then we'll play it?
Yeah. So this clip comes from the Sean Ryan show. Shout out to Sean Ryan. He had a great YouTube channel and he transitioned to podcast. It's a great podcast. You would really like it because he brings a lot of military guys and they talk about.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a really good podcast. I highly recommend it. But he's interviewing this lady called Sarah Adams, and she's a CIA targeter. So I don't quite understand what her job is, but what she explained at the beginning, a CIA targeter is like the middleman between an analyst that gathers the information and the actual operators that go out there and do drone strikes or captures or kills or whatever they have to do. Right? She does that shit. So here she's talking to Sean about the Taliban and about how awful they were and everything else. But just this clip is self-explanatory. So let's just listen to this.
What's the date?
This came out a couple days ago.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. On the 30th, October 30th. Cool. So here we go.
They didn't view the Taliban as a terrorist group. They still view them as a political group, even though
They is the United States.
Yeah.
Okay.
they like kidnap people, murder people, torture people, they rape women, they rape children. Like, they still call them a political organization. It blows
I mean,
my
we're
mind.
funding them again now, right?
I think we spend like $40 million a week.
$40 million a week
believe
goes
so.
to Taliban,
Yes.
who are taking our allies, lining them up like dogs,
Yep.
and shooting them in the back of the head.
Ugh.
And we're funding that.
And that's kind of what you hope they do. I mean, I've got videos that are very, very painful deaths.
What kind of deaths?
That's who we're sending.
We're sending $40 million a week to the Taliban.
We're paying higher grocery. Not to mention the mass amounts of money that's going to every other.
$40 million a week is like $2 billion a year. And we're sending over these pieces of shit.
Yeah, that we're fighting or have been fighting in the Korengal Valley and all that. Yeah.
And that's who you were fighting when you were there.
That's Afghanistan.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah, I was in
Afghanistan.
Iraq. But
Yeah.
but yeah,
But same difference.
one of my favorite, which kind of like led me to go for my film degree, was a documentary by Sebastian Junger, Restrepo.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great one.
Restrepo in the Korengal Valley and all that. So yeah, that if you ever get a chance to look that up, man,
Have you ever seen that?
No,
JD?
I have not.
It's fantastic.
it's a unit that's stationed at an outpost in the Korengal Valley, which is I think something like 90% of all fighting in Afghanistan was in that valley.
They were in like a shitty one too, because like
Yeah,
they
it's
had
an
mountains
outpost.
all around them.
Yeah. Well, Afghanistan is mountains. and
Yeah,
stuff.
but they were like down like in the fucking valley,
valley,
but they had perfect places to get shot at
Oh,
from
yeah,
all
yeah.
around
So
them. They're
it's-
surrounded.
So yeah, I mean that's we're sending money to the people that we were literally fighting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which
And
the US
blew up a bunch. How many people did they kill? Like 12 or 13 people when they're trying to do the evacuations that day. Suicide bomber ran in there and blew up and killed a bunch of
I believe,
civilians
when
and-
we were
and
pulling out. Yeah.
12 or 13
We-
military personnel.
the
So
United States put them in power. To take over. What was it? The Russian? Not Russia. What was it back in the USSR?
yeah, it was USSR.
They
yeah.
trained them to. So it's
The Mujahideen.
they've been funding them
Mujahideen,
for
yeah.
decades.
Yeah, for decades.
So just real quick, because I had said that wrong when I was 2003, the debt was 3.9 trillion.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I had said that wrong. So 3.9 trillion in 2003. Either way,
Still.
it's just
unbelievable what it is now.
unbelievable.
Tenfold. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially,
10 times, yeah.
especially when you look at who some of
In
this
20
money.
years,
Yeah, and,
fucking ridiculous.
and especially you look at who some of this money's going to, who
Yeah.
some of our taxpayer money's going to, like. And I don't want to crap on the Trump people that are out there but like you said, what did he gain it in that scene, or what did he? How much did Trump
Trump added $7 trillion in 1 year
in 1 year?
because of COVID,
So-
supposedly.
with
Oh, God,
and
yeah.
Yeah,
you know, with everything going on with I cannot speak today.
that's fine. Nobody can.
with the race, with the presidential race coming up, and with that, so look into that stuff more. So I think look into who you're supporting. I mean, that's a crazy amount, and you feel this. This is something people say, "Oh, well, the president doesn't matter, or this doesn't matter."
Yeah, this fucking matters.
This matters because you are feeling that at the pumps, at the grocery store, at the school clothes shopping for your kids.
You're seeing in the bond markets now. You have investors now that are active. They're really worried about the national debt. There's a real threat that the United States will not be able to sell enough bonds to cover their expenditures in the bond market, which is an insane idea that nobody would buy U.S. bonds. And if that happens, the Federal Reserve has to step in and buy the bonds.
Isn't like China and Brazil and all them trying to create their
They're starting their own. They're trying to the BRICS currency.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Trying to.
Which is going to be a fucking failure anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But
yeah.
China's economic situation is even worse than ours. Like they built giant cities with nobody in them.
Yeah, I know they're like blowing up right now with building nuclear reactors and stuff. Like as far as power goes.
Yeah, well,
we
that's
should-
smart. We should be doing
I
that.
would
but
say that's a whole topic on itself. We should be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But
Their whole economy is just fucking garbage. And it came out not too long ago that they lied about their population. It's actually 100 million people smaller than
what they
said it was, which is a big deal considering that they have a massive elderly population, and their one-child policy has created a tiny generation that now has to support these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just back to the debt stuff. Like it just blows my mind that you don't. I mean, both of these parties have increased the debt,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and there's no end in sight.
No.
And like when we were talking to Morgan, and she was like, "This is a, you know, even with your local school board stuff and school boards all over the country raising their or pushing these bond packages and everything. It's because we have a society that lives on credit,
Yeah.
like top down.
Yeah.
It's there. Everyone is saying it's going to hurt. We're in for a hard year. I mean, it's just crazy to me. I don't want to be like a doom and gloom guy, but that debt is something you should pay attention to.
Yeah.
And not just the debt. Like if you look into, like, what's that book with the Federal Reserve? Look into how
the creature from Jekyll Island.
the creature from Jekyll Island. Look
And
how
it's a thick book, but it's not. Don't be scared of it. It's not a boring book, and it's not full of a bunch of numbers and bullshit. It's a really well written book, and it's very interesting.
And it's an Audible book, so
Yeah.
you know you can get it on Audible. But it just dig into that some yourself. Look at how there's videos even on YouTube. There's this little 3 or 4 minute video. I think the I don't know if it's the Mises Caucus. There's some put out there, put the little cartoon videos out there on how all that stuff. Because I think the average person, they're not worried about the debt. They're just trying. We've said this before. They're just trying to go to work. They're just trying to put food on the table.
Yeah.
This is why you're eating ramen and bologna
Yeah.
instead of meatloaf. This is all this. Or meatloaf's not a good one. Instead of
Meatloaf
steak.
is good. I love
I like meatloaf.
Don't get me wrong.
Do you like meatloaf?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. How much does some of that? I mean, I know you said you weren't in Afghanistan, but like some of that's got to burn as a veteran to look at some of that money that's being sent over there.
Oh man, yeah, it feels, man. You talk to veterans and stuff, and a lot of it was, a lot of us didn't believe in what we were doing anyways. A lot of it was just to, looking out for your buddy to your left and right. Go over there, do what you got to do, and come home. Like the politics of it really. I mean, we didn't have a choice. We were there. We were forced to be there. It drug on for over a decade, and a lot of it feels like a waste. Like sometimes it felt like we were doing good, and other times. So yeah, to hear that, especially the Taliban, that's like I said, we literally were swapping bullets with them in the mountains, and then we're still funding them. Yeah.
Like what would people think if you found out that the U.S. was like, hey, we're sending money to ISIS now, we're helping them out because they're doing something,
Well, who was it, the Taliban or was it Al Qaeda that blew those 13 Marines up as we pulled out?
How's the Taliban?
This was the Taliban. So think about that. That's you giving your neighbor down the road $40 a day, and he just walks over one day and pops you in the mouth, and you still give him $40 that day. That's, I mean, maybe that's a bad example, but I don't know how else you.
Yeah, after he's raped your wife and daughter.
Right, and then we're still giving money.
Yeah.
And look, I don't want to be someone that says we shouldn't be. I don't want to be someone that's saying we should be over there fighting them either. That's not at all.
No,
what I'm
we
saying.
shouldn't be over there.
I'm saying we shouldn't be giving them money or fighting them. That's my.
And then all the weapons and technology
Oh,
left
God.
behind.
They left billions of dollars worth of stuff.
When the Hamas entered Israel, you'd seen people were pointing out the weapons they were using.
Yeah, they got them. Yeah, I guess where they got them from.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Well, the night vision. I don't know if you ever, but I'd read several stuff that was like when the U.S. was in Iraq and Afghanistan, we owned the night because of the night vision, and then we left.
Yeah.
I got a funny story about night vision goggles while I was in the military.
Let's hear it.
All right, so before my first deployment, we'd gone out to Barstow, California, to do NTC training. You go out there with your unit.
What is it?
NTC is the National Training Center,
Okay.
where everybody, special forces, everybody goes out to do desert training. That's it's desert, so that's as simulated to the Middle East as we got, you know, in big training center out in California. So we go out there, we do our training, like month-long training, come back. Well, they go to do this accountability on sensitive items such as weapons, NVGs, night vision goggles for those. And so we're like 2 weeks from deploying to Iraq, and it comes up that we're missing a pair of NVGs, which is a sensitive item. So we go on lockdown, and so we're literally having to live in our motor pool in the hangar for 2 weeks before, you know, away from our families and everything. Like our wives and stuff actually like started bringing us food and setting up. They were forcing us to live on base in the hangars because this piece was missing. And
And then we just
so it turns out that this piece has been missing for like years. They
Oh,
lost it,
really?
and they just didn't have very good accountability on the books and stuff. So
Wow.
it was such a mess, and a lot of us were pissed off because, you know, we were getting ready to deploy like 2 weeks later. But yeah, that's an NVG story. For
That's
you.
a good story.
That's a good, especially
Here's an article from NBC News. More than $7.1 billion in U.S. funded military equipment was in the possession of the Afghan government when it fell to the Taliban in August 2021 amid the withdrawal, according to Defense Department reports.
Yeah, this video
Half
is-
of it was ground vehicles, but it also included 316,000 weapons worth more than $512 million, plus ammo and accessories.
I mean, there's even video of them flying helicopters that we left behind
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah,
Dude, they were
Lifting-
cracking open crates of brand new rifles.
they're like, oh, they'll never learn how to do that. And
Yeah, they know how to fly helicopters. They have pilots over
cell
there.
phone video of them. Yeah,
They're not all goat fuckers and sheep herders, you know.
well, that on the side, but yeah.
Yeah, they do that on the side.
But yeah,
So-
for them to think that they wouldn't, figure it out.
for them to think that they wouldn't, like, that our adversary wouldn't send someone over there, even if there was no helicopter pilots. You think Iran doesn't have a helicopter
We were
pilot?
training. We were training Iraqi pilots when I was there.
Yeah.
That was part of our mission. Was when they would show up to work.
Yeah.
we were training. We were flying. They had old school Hueys from like the Vietnam era.
But that's so. Say we weren't training them, and no one over there knew how to fly them. You think that?
Yes, somebody would go over there. And
Yeah,
teach them how to
exactly,
fly.
right.
But
Someone-
but here's the thing: a lot of the Afghani army they were Taliban. They were just in the army. They were still working with the Taliban. They were still part of the Taliban. They were just working as like double agents,
Yeah.
picking up skills that the U.S. was giving all this training away. So they're like, "Fuck, it, we'll go get some of their training, learn how to use their equipment."
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sit here. Everything we've said this far is really like anti-U.S., and that's not who I want to be, because I still do think that
It's
we live.
anti-poor. It's anti-shitty fucking policies that is bankrupting
Bad
this
decisions.
country.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, it's not that I'm anti-U.S. I don't think anyone at this table would be anti-U.S. Still think this is probably one of the best places to live in the country. In the world, excuse me. Although we can get a handle on some of this stuff. That's my point of getting.
Yeah, if we don't get a handle on it, we're going to go through a fiscal crisis, a financial crisis, a fiscal crisis, a monetary crisis that'll bankrupt this country. You can forget your fucking 401k and your IRAs and everything else. It'll be wiped out if they don't do something to get this debt under control. It might not happen next year or the year after, but if they keep spending the way they're spending, within a decade, we'll be at 200% of the national GDP. And why would you, if you're an investor, why would you invest a country like that? I wouldn't put money into something like that. They can't get their spending under control.
Yeah.
They've already downgraded the credit rating or downgraded the credit rating of the United States,
Yeah,
which is unheard of.
it's crazy. The Federal Reserve. Let's go over to the Federal Reserve for a minute.
It's a fucking joke.
How many people think that the Federal Reserve? I'm just curious. We should do a poll on Facebook or Instagram or something. How many people think or thought that the Federal Reserve is a U.S. like a branch
It's
of the U.S.
private.
government? It's
Yeah,
private.
it's private. Yeah, it's private.
But
And all the commercial banks are owners of the Federal Reserve.
But there's a lot of people that don't get that.
Yeah, because it has the name federal in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's a private bank.
Yeah. No more federal. What did I hear the other day? Someone said no more federal than Federal Express.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it was set up specifically to be the lender of last resort for banks when they do bad things. Like you could see, that's exactly what happened during the the financial crisis, the recession, 2008, 2009, when the subprime mortgage bust and all these banks were facing bankruptcy. You know what they did? They turned to the Fed, the lender of last resort, to keep them afloat, to give them the capital to keep going. So like everybody talks about the $700 billion in TARP money. What they don't talk about is the literally trillions of dollars the Federal Reserve handed out to banks to keep them from going under.
Yeah, and we started to see that here recently where there were banks going under.
Yeah. Yeah,
And-
the whole system is bullshit. The whole banking system in this country is complete bullshit. It's designed to fail.
It's a house of cards.
Yes.
A house of
Where
cards.
they privatize the gains and they socialize the losses. Because all the losses get put on us, but they keep all the profits.
Yeah, it's crazy. Once again, go that book, The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Yeah.
But something like every time they print a dollar, there's interest against it for the government. So
Yeah.
so we'll never pay it back because for every dollar printed, we owe more than $1 for it. So it's a never ending.
Yeah. It's just a Ponzi scheme. It's a joke.
Well, and then they give that free money out and they print more money, and what that's actually just a tax that the government doesn't have to ask you for.
Yeah.
That's just inflation, essentially.
Yeah. Inflation is a tax.
They don't really care about lifting your taxes, raising your taxes, because they'll just print more money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and these fucking Republicans that are running, talking about the national debt. I mean, I hope that they're serious about it. They do something about it, but Republicans always talk this. Whenever they're out of power and they're trying to get in office, they always go back to the debt and hammer on the debt and federal and spending, and they're like, we're going to get spending under control. We're going to tackle the debt. We're going to tackle Medicare and Social Security and all that. We're going to get all that under control. But they never do. They never do.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan, the great conservative president, added hundreds of billions of dollars to the national debt. He did nothing to pay it down.
When was the last time? When did the Fed raise the interest rate? It was like up around 20% or something like that in the 80s to get inflation. That's the other deal. People are like mortgage rates and everything. People are griping about right now. Someone trying to buy a house and like, oh, the interest rates aren't good or whatever. Why are they not good? Because of inflation.
Yeah.
That's why they're not good, because that's the only way to get a hold on inflation is to crank the interest rate up from the Fed to the bank.
Yeah. When Reagan was in office, the public debt, I think this is adjusted for today, but it went from $738 billion to $2.1 trillion while he was in office. And he's the Republican everybody looks to as like the example of what a Republican should be. So,
yeah, and there's so many people right now in time, especially right now, people are just griping and crying about the cost of everything. But yet, we'll vote one of these two parties that'll do exactly what they'll do. I'm not telling you to go vote for Libertarian. Too many people say, I mean, I kind of am, I guess, but too many people say it's a wasted vote or whatever. But man, like, what do we do otherwise? What do you do if neither of these parties will get it under control, which they haven't?
no. They won't.
And it looks like we're possibly headed for war again.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already sending. How much money? We were just talking about that. How much money do we send Israel on a regular basis?
It's like $8 billion a year.
And then, not to mention the amount we've sent Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's just it's not long term feasible. These kids now, man, I don't know how they buy a house.
I don't think they can.
You don't. So we were looking a couple of months ago, just shits and giggles, I think in our area right now, it's something crazy like $190 a square foot.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wild. Like,
Yeah, and I think this house right here, which is not far from where you're looking, if you were, I mean, we're within probably 20 miles, probably looking possibly in your search would have been this area we're in right here. So this house that we're in right now, built in like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that, went for $100 a square foot. And that was a good deal at the time.
yeah.
That was a really good deal at the time.
The United States in 2022 gave Israel $3.3 billion.
And then what did we've talked about the Ukraine, what we given
Oh
to
shit,
Ukraine.
dude! I don't even know. Who knows what it's at
And
now?
and there's no, and it looks like they're all but done giving Ukraine any money.
What was
Because
the
of
last
the
thing,
Israel.
100 billion, and they were going to give.
He was asking for another 100 billion. I think it was 100, and then they were like, "Oops, we actually sent you 6 billion too much."
They wanted 40 to Ukraine and 60 to Israel.
Yeah. I just read an article yesterday where the Ukraine's like, we have all this cool hardware from the West, but we're running out of people to use it. We don't have enough soldiers. Now soldiers, and like they're catching more and more Ukrainian men trying to leave the country because they don't want to.
Then Ukraine,
Yeah.
Ukraine, yeah, okay. I was-
They don't want to leave Ukraine.
well, it's lost. And this is what blows my mind. It was
This article
always
says
lost.
since the
Yeah,
war
it was
began,
never one they could win to begin with.
no, they don't have enough people. I mean, historically, Russia just throws men at the problem until they just overwhelm you.
They get their ass kicked, and then they throw bodies
They
at
just
it.
throw bodies at you. That's how they've always fought wars ever since the history of Russia. That's how they've always fought a war. They just throw bodies at it until they win. Eventually, if you throw enough bodies at a problem, it'll solve itself. You'll figure
was
it
it?
out. You can crack that open. Don't be so quiet, bro.
The Gulag Archipelago, where he
Did you
talks
read
about.
that?
I did. When he,
Really?
Yeah, it's rough.
I
It's
bet.
a hard one to get through.
Yeah.
But he talks about at the beginning where, and you've heard this story. There's other people that have told it, but basically, go fight, and there's a guy at the back of the line with a machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
His job is not to shoot the enemy.
No, he's to shoot you.
His
if you
job
try
is to shoot you if you try to turn around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like in World War II, the Russians would send guys off into battle. They didn't have enough weapons. So one guy's got the rifle, one guy's got the ammo. Whichever one dies, you just pick up the other guy's shit and go on. That's how they did it.
So that's what's crazy to me is because we are not, you know, I'm how to say that we're just regular guys, and we looked at it from the start and went, this is not a war that's we can win,
No.
short of bankrupting us.
Yeah.
And even then,
yeah.
can we win it? Yeah, we
I
still.
you know,
threw
I
all
almost,
this money.
it looked like for a minute there, it looked like the Poles were going to get involved in it. I thought, okay, if the Polish actually decided to put boots on the ground, they could win this thing.
I wonder, can you look up and see what Europe has contributed to Ukraine?
Oh,
mean, you
sure,
just-
yeah. The United States is so far, as of July 31st, 2023, so these are old numbers, has contributed $76.8 billion to Ukraine.
I'm curious to what Europe has done, just because, like, they're the one that it's going to affect. They're the ones that want that. They want to fight that war. Go over there, and like I said, once again, I don't want to just sit here and bash on the U.S. I'm not bashing on the U.S. and the people and everything. I'm. This is policy.
I think we should stay out of the people's problems, but yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I get foreign policy, but
The EU as a whole has contributed, and this is in euros, 80, and this is
Which is almost a dollar for dollar right now, right?
is it?
Or dollar for euro.
I guess it's probably pretty close. Yeah, they've given about 84.8 billion euros.
Oh wow, the dollar's the euro's below $1.
Is it?
94 cents.
Shit,
for the
son.
dollar. Yeah.
Don't go buying. Don't trade currency. I did it once and I lost my fucking ass in that shit.
What's that called?
Iraqi money? Did you buy Iraqi money?
No, I didn't. Like some of those
that's-
idiots.
I got Iraqi money.
I bet
Did
you
you
did.
didn't
You
buy
didn't
it,
buy it
though?
though.
No.
There
Probably.
were people buying. Did you ever hear about that scam?
Yeah.
They were saying
There's guys at work that were doing that.
yeah, they were saying buy this Iraqi money because it was backed by gold, and so when all the gold comes out, so there were people buying paper Iraqi money.
Yeah.
They were coming. It was it would come back over here with some paper Iraqi money that's worthless.
Yeah.
And
They all have
sell it.
Saddam's
And
face
not
on
just
it.
Yeah.
Iraqi money. They're buying Venezuelan bolivars.
It's a
They're
scheme
buying
that happens.
they're buying
So
fucking
country
every
that's falling apart?
shitbag country.
Yeah.
They're buying their
It's
currency.
it's not a new scheme. It's a scheme that's gone on for a long
Sure.
time.
Yeah. And these idiots are stupid enough to buy
Yeah.
into it. There was a guy, we all know who this guy is. He was telling me about it. And I was like, dude, I hope you lose every fucking penny you got. Because that is, you're so stupid to do that. You deserve to lose it all. You fucking retard.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like even if Saddam Hussein did have his money back by gold, I have no idea on that, right? But even if he did, it's not there now. It's not there now Because I'm not talking about at the start of the Iraq invasion. I'm talking about
last week.
I'm talking about like 3 years ago,
Yeah,
year
3
ago.
years, 2 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
2 or 3 years
Heard
ago.
that,
It
yeah.
was like, bro, that money's
I mean, I'm sure it's all changed now, but yeah. No, I got like from like 15 years ago when it still had Saddam's face all over it and everything.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, no,
probably
that
not
was
good.
what
When
they
I
were.
was over
That's
there, yeah.
what they were selling was the
was
stuff
it?
with
Those-
Saddam's face on it. Because they were saying it was backed by gold.
I know I'm a millionaire, but it's all in Confederate money. So maybe the Confederacy comes back, it'll be worth something.
This is not paper. Was there paper bills in the
yeah, that
Confederacy?
paper money.
Yeah.
Texas had
Texas
paper money too.
didn't have much. It had some. I
had
looked it up.
some.
It's expensive.
It is very
If
expensive.
you have
it's very
a
rare.
if you have a Texas, what do they call it?
That's history,
The
though.
dollar. They
Yeah,
call
like
them dollars.
blackback or something like that.
Oh,
There
I have
was
no
there's
idea.
some kind of name. That's probably not it, but there's some name specifically for it. And if you have it, it's worth about $4,000. If you have one
Damn,
of those,
seriously?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I've
The
only
last
seen the
time.
reproductions, which is still cool, I guess. I wouldn't want to have that, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Anyway, I don't know how long we're going today, but we just kind of wanted to rant a little bit about that. Probably not long enough, but rant about that. Like, look into some stuff, man. Don't just vote because your daddy voted that way or whatever, man. Like, look into it.
Don't. I mean, you can vote Republican, but I guarantee you that Republicans don't give a fuck about the debt. If they did, they would actually do something. They never have shown any interest in changing things.
And that's our biggest threat right now. It's not Hamas. It's not the Russians.
It's not China.
It's not China. It's our monetary system
Yeah, the biggest threat to the United States is
and the debt.
the United States itself. That's what's fucked up about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're gonna do. We talk about. Man, I was talking about these fucking leftists. Man, did you watch the newest Rogan with Elon Musk on it?
I did. It was pretty good.
It was really good.
It was really, yeah. I realized that we
towards the
talked-
end where they were just talking about the UFC, and I don't give a fuck about that or fighting or whatever.
Okay, I'd pay money to watch him fight.
Elon
Elon.
Elon and Zuckerberg.
I've heard that going on for.
Well, they're not. Zuckerberg apparently backed out.
Yeah,
According
because
to
you
Elon
said
Musk.
that in the
serious.
last podcast. You said Musk backed out, but it looks like
It's
Zuck-
funny because Zuck's like jujitsu. He does tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's legit.
But it's funny, man, because Musk is convinced that all he has to do is lay on it like
Walrus
a
him.
walrus and
Well,
he'll beat
he's
him.
big.
And Rogan's trying to be nice about it, but he's like, no, dude, that's not how it works, dude. He's trying to tell him, no, there's some techniques
I
that.
don't know. I can't take anybody serious that moves to Texas and can't wear a hat right. Can't wear a cowboy
What are you
hat. the right
talking
direction.
about?
oh,
Listen,
Elon Musk
listen.
came out with a cowboy hat.
No,
on.
Cowboy
listen.
hat on backwards.
Listen.
I mean, I'm not a cowboy. but come on.
What is the name of that? Stetson. A representative from Stetson said that hat was on correctly. It was just that style of hat. He was wearing it correctly.
Have you seen? Speaking of people wearing things goofy, have you seen all the talk about DeSantis wearing? What do they call those? Like he wears boots. There's a lot of pictures on the internet. Look it up, DeSantis and boots.
The gator boots?
Lifts in his boots.
Lifts?
Like to make him taller.
Oh, like platforms?
Yeah. Since we're just gonna,
He's a short guy, I guess.
it's crazy because it looks like he has lifts in his
Oh, he
boots.
sure does. Yeah. Yeah, his boots don't look right. Like he's wearing lifts in them.
Yeah. That's what's crazy.
Oh,
to me.
well, that's sad, man. He should just like if you're short, just accept it.
I'm short. I'm a short guy.
I'm 5'7", so.
But I'm sure there's optics. I'm sure there's somebody.
Oh yeah, everybody wants a
You
tall dude to be president or whatever.
no short guys.
Yeah. No.
No, but I need to
That's
make
why Hot
correction
Wheels.
too.
That's why Hot Wheels will never be a president because he's crippled.
I mean, what?
What?
Nothing.
You don't think so?
You don't think he could run?
What president wouldn't?
Oh, that was FDR, but that was they
And they
hid all
hid it.
that shit.
They
Yeah,
hid it.
that was before social media, bro.
And they didn't know.
I was trying to think
The
of the
media didn't know
president.
he was.
No, the media knew, but they didn't
hid it.
talk
Yeah,
about
I'm
it.
sorry,
They
yeah,
didn't
they-
talk about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when they actually took care of the president instead of going after him every chance they get.
So that's funny right there because how many people will say the media used to be fair and or not fair and objective, but
always been
objective,
biased.
and that they
They always
didn't.
They
But,
were
but
never
people will
that
try,
way.
But people try to tell you.
Yeah.
They'll try to tell you, oh, it's just,
Yeah.
the CNN era is what's
No,
caused
that's
that. No,
bullshit.
it's always
been
been.
biased.
Oh, in fact, most
money.
of the old, like the old newspapers that were founded in this country, they were founded by political parties to support the political party.
Propaganda.
Yeah, that's all it was. The news has never been objective.
That's why they don't report on the debt.
They report on it now because everybody's worried about it now. But
No choice.
Well, so I need to make a correction because we said that Elon had offered $1 billion to Wikipedia to change its name to Dickopedia on the last podcast, and he did offer him $1 billion to do that, but it was because of the Andrew Huberman deal. Apparently, they took a whole bunch of stuff.
oh yeah, they
Off of-
censored his.
They censored his stuff, and like they took off peer-reviewed
Yeah.
journals. They took it off of there. I can't remember what he said. Whatever it was like it was super nothing.
Yeah,
But it didn't go against or it went against the
Yeah, because then Wikipedia is a peer or a.
Wikipedia's
it's
super.
it's a progressive.
It's
That's why
just-
you can't use it as any kind of actual source.
yeah.
No, you
well,
can't
and
use
not,
a source.
but it's super like
It's super.
it's super left
lefty.
leaning.
Yeah,
Got you.
yeah. It's still fun to read, but you got to realize that if it's talking about a political,
I mean, you can go in there and change whatever you want.
you think you can, because I've done that before just to see what would happen, and it gets edited back real quick.
Oh, somebody change it real quick. Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially with something people are watching.
yeah, yeah. I was doing it on Adventure Time.
Oh yeah.
You ever seen that show?
I've seen commercials. I've never
It's a
watched
great,
it.
It's a great kids show. I love it. It's one of my favorites.
I don't know what
Grab
that
your
is.
friends. Adventure Time.
It's like a cartoon.
Fantastic.
Is it a kid show though? I always thought it was like an adult cartoon.
It's definitely a kids
It's not
show.
Adult Swim. Oh,
No, I think it was on Cartoon Network or something like that. But it's definitely a kids show.
gotcha.
It's got some not kid stuff in it though. But it actually has a pretty cool plot line, because it's all about the world, like hundreds of years after a nuclear apocalypse,
Oh, sweet.
and that's why everything's all mutated and weird.
Oh,
It's got a really interesting storyline that all the cartoons are 15 minutes long, but if you follow it the whole way, it's got an interesting plot. It's pretty cool.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, you won't like it. You don't like nice things.
I don't.
It's because your heart is.
So go like our Chad's got us all kinds of stuff up and running. Go like our we got a YouTube channel. Go like and subscribe to that.
Yes.
Once you get all social media, it's all up and running. Got stuff on social media. We got a website. No,
No, we don't.
We do have a website. Don't be that
I
way.
just took it down.
No, we didn't. Yeah, link for the website is in wherever you're listening to this. It's in the description.
Yeah,
That's right.
you can go there and look at it. Go to the website.
Facebook, Instagram.
Got some merchandise.
Yeah, we got the merch shop up.
Yeah, and that website will take you everywhere if you want to list it on Apple or Spotify or whatever. And if you do, hey, give us a like.
Share it with somebody.
Share it with your friends. Give us a review on Apple, Spotify, whatever you want. It all helps us out. And tell everybody about it, man.
Cool.
Because you need to. That's just the way it is.
Because
the way it should be.
Dean is trying to get a what was that, Lone Star Grill.
Lone Star Grill.
Still haven't heard anything from Lone Star Grill. I've been reaching out to him.
That is what it is.
Nothing yet. We're waiting because he says he can smoke a brisket.
I can't smoke shit. I'm terrible at it. I've tried smoking 2 briskets, and they both turned out like garbage.
Really?
Yeah.
So, but all this because you want to practice.
I want to practice on a nice grill.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you smoke meats?
I don't. I'm not a cook at all. I can barely feed myself to stay alive.
Really?
I mean, I can make some sandwiches and
Some sandwiches.
Bologna sandwich.
I can eat MREs and I can heat up.
Hey, what was your
microwave.
favorite MRE? You left before they came out with the pizza, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't have that.
That's too
They
bad.
started this breakfast. They started making breakfast ones, and I wasn't really
The
into-
Vomlet?
They weren't. Yeah, they weren't that good. I think the first time I'd seen those was when I was in Haiti on the humanitarian stuff.
Oh, you went to that? Okay.
Yeah.
You got a story from that?
That's what. Well, it's supposed to be 2 weeks, turned into 5 months.
What?
Yeah.
In that shithole?
Yes,
Wow.
but I guess just the generic chili mac. I think.
Oh, yeah, the chili mac is the
everybody can
best.
Get on that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you buy MREs and eat them just in your spare time?
Sometimes I
You're
do,
like, "Nah,
yeah.
just have an
I think they're
MRE."
good.
They're not.
Yeah, they are. Not when you have to eat them. I wouldn't want to eat one every fucking day.
I mean, yeah, that sucks. But
Yeah. But no, I do like the chili mac is good. I do like it. But
yeah, I'd say that was probably the go-to. That would be the first one we would pop a new box. That'd be the first one somebody would dig out.
yeah.
The chili mac.
Haiti for 5 months.
5 months. No. All right.
Give us one story.
I'll just tell you. Okay. So, my wife at the time was pregnant with our first child, and I just got back from my second deployment to Iraq, and they were doing this mass migration in the military. They were trying to get people that hadn't deployed a bunch to deployable units, and get those of us that'd been on multiple, like back to back, to other units.
Mm-hmm.
So I got orders to go to Fort Lee, Virginia. And at this time, we were like, well, I came back because she was about to have the baby, so we were like 2 or 3 months pregnant at this time. So I got orders to go to Virginia. So we took off. And as soon as I got there, I guess the earthquake had happened. And so they were taking volunteers at the time. Well, the unit was non-combat deployable.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a bunch of officers that had never like deployed. So they thought it would be fun and make, buff their resume to go volunteer. So because they volunteered, there was enough that they just volunteered the whole unit. And a lot of us had come from Alaska, Fort Hood, where I was at, and Georgia, and other, like I said, high deployable units. A lot of us just like 6 months back from Iraq, and so we're thinking, no, we're still not deployable because it's a 1-for-1.
Mm-hmm.
Like forever, like every day or month you're deployed, you get that guaranteed home. Well, they come out and they're like, no, that's not true because it's a non-combat deployment. So because it's a humanitarian mission, they could force us to go. And then they lied to us, telling us, well, what it'll do is it'll freeze your time off at home, and you'll just pick it back up on the other side. Day one. And so we're supposed to fly out and like ice storms, and it's like right at the Super Bowl. So we actually end up,
That sucks.
yeah. So we actually like miss our flight. So everybody's like, oh yeah, we have to stay home and watch the Super Bowl. So then we flew out like 2 days later and flew down to Port-au-Prince. And like I said, it was supposed to be like a 2-week thing. Immediately we get down there and they're like, dude, y'all screwed. Like as soon as y'all stepped foot on that plane and took off, that reset you could go back to Iraq tomorrow.
What?
Yeah, that whole 1-for-1 thing went out the window as soon as they redeployed us.
What?
And so that was the first shit moment, And we take off from, it's like ice and freezing in Virginia, and land in Port-au-Prince. It's like 95 degrees and 100% humidity.
Jesus.
Yeah, like jungle. It's like just humid, and it rained. It rains there every night. It may
Every
rain
night.
for like 10 minutes, but it rains every night in Haiti.
Wow.
And so I guess some American Haitian owned some soccer fields, and so they let us set up our little tent city down there. And it was never ending. It was like 2 weeks turned into 3 weeks. It's okay, we're gonna be here 4. It just snowballed until, and I think 5 months came around, and she was getting ready to have the baby, and that was a big argument. My sergeant major got into it with my commander, because he didn't want to let me go home.
The commander didn't want you to go home?
Yeah. He was like, well, if this was Iraq, you wouldn't. It's like, well, this isn't Iraq. This isn't a combat deployment. It's a humanitarian mission. And so my sergeant major is like, no, we're getting you on a plane. You're going home. Well, by the time I get home, it turns out like a week later, they all came home because monsoon season was hitting. It was like, who's going to save us? Because that's the whole reason we were down there, was because of the earthquake and all that.
What were you guys doing?
So just rice and helping them set up tents and kind of trying to, man, it's tragic.
Yeah.
So and I learned a lot of history about Haiti going down there. We at first, obviously, our Haitian, not a lot of Haitians that joined the military, so they all, of course, volunteered to go down there,
Yeah.
and they doubled as like interpreters for us and stuff. Well, when they deployed our whole unit, we're like, well, hell, what are we going to do? Well, we get down there, and it turns out that they're pretty fluent in Spanish too, because it's the same island as the Dominican Republic,
Yeah.
and so neighbors. So that kind of like helped bridge the language barrier too. But it's something like we were talking to him, and just the sheer. Somebody was, I think a Haitian in our unit was explaining it to us, like, that was a big slave slave port.
Yeah,
you know,
for
going
the
and
French.
then for the French. Then going well, when America bought the Louisiana Purchase, the French had no reason to be over in this part of the world anymore. So they just cut all the slaves loose. Said you're on your own, have at it, and they went back to France. And so these people have always been just on their own, trying to fend for themselves. And so it's like the poorest country in the world. And it took like the earthquake for everybody to be like, oh, these people really need help. And so it actually was like a blessing for them, even though a lot of people died and stuff. But it got a lot of help down there for them. But yeah, like I said, 5 months later, I finally got to go home because my baby, and then my whole unit came back like a week later. But it was like monsoon season was kicking in, so it was like, going to start flooding and all that. But when they were trying to take stuff to the port to get it back on ship and go home, they were setting up like blockades and stuff. They didn't want us to leave but then you had the rich people lived up in the mountains. They were mad we were there. They thought we were going to like take over, like, take them in as like a Puerto Rico or something, like they thought we wanted their country since we were there. And they're like, no, get out of here. So that was a big thing. But the poor people at the port and down in the city, they were like, stay. They were blocking the road so we couldn't leave. Yeah.
Oh, the rich people were afraid that they were going to be annexed by the United States.
But yeah, pretty much. And and I didn't know when we got there, the UN was there doing this big war on like assault rifles and stuff. So we were there.
Yeah, the gangs are horrible down there.
Drug lords and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was the thing.
Those are the people in the mountains.
Yeah. So we're down there like setting up our tents, trying to survive, and help people that need help, handing out rice and helping them, recover bodies and get rid of debris. But up in the mountains, you hear like gunfire and stuff. The UN was like all out like war with the drug lords and stuff up in the mountains. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's really bad right now down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were somebody was trying to get the U.S. to put Marines down there in Haiti to stabilize it, and the U.S. is like, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
We tried that once
pretty
before, and it
wild.
didn't really work out well for us.
We had a generator. There was a guy. He was on like some kind of guard duty, like on a computer like this, and he said his screen went dim, and it took him a minute to realize, like, when you unplug a computer, it kind of dims a little bit. He was like, couldn't like see what was like if his cord came out or something. Went outside and there was like 3 teenagers running off with their generator.
Oh shit!
Never found it. They chased them. They'd cut the wire, the constant wire, and he just seen them as they were like hauling ass with the generator.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it is wild that you have countries that are that close to the United States, and they're just so
Especially a Caribbean country.
you
think?
just so fucking bored. and shit.
We'd go down to the beach, and I'm sure the resorts hated it because they were still running, and all the tourists and stuff down there. And then all of a sudden, you see all these military vehicles coming down on the beach, look like an invasion or something. They didn't like us. We were going down to the ocean to swim. Probably looked like a storming the beach, with all the military vehicles. You see the cruise liners out in the ocean passing by.
That's wild. It's not a place I'd ever want to go.
Yeah, it was an experience. It sucked.
Yeah.
For sure, it sucked for 5 months, but
Donald Trump
hindsight.
got in trouble because of that country.
Was it Haiti?
Yeah, because he said, "Why are we letting these people from these shithole countries come here?" And everybody on the left was like, "How dare you call Haiti a shithole?" And then I was watching No Reservations episode. You ever see that, Anthony Bourdain? And he went to Haiti, and it was just the most depressing thing I ever seen. And I was like, I don't think Trump is wrong. I think that pretty much is a shithole country.
I want to say they're literally the poorest country in the world.
Yeah, they're pretty fucking. It's a shithole for sure.
So everything was made out of like cinder blocks, and there's no power. Like everything's run by generators. So they got fuel farms, and when you go to get fuel to fuel generators, they got guys out there with machetes and shotguns pulling security because that's like gold down there.
Yeah,
Everything's run on generators. There's no power. And like I said, everything's built by like cinder blocks, and just so when the earthquake hit, everything just collapsed and fell.
Yeah.
And just killed so many
no
people.
building codes
like,
or anything.
Like half the port like fell off into the ocean.
Jesus Christ.
So it was a pain because we had an army ship that brought our vehicles down to us, and they couldn't get it close enough to the port because the port was gone. Could barely get close enough to unload.
Would engineers have to build a new port or something?
Yeah, the engineers got there and but it's out like a week off the coast.
That's crazy.
Trying to figure out how to get it close enough to unload.
What a fucking wild place.
Yeah, Haiti's something else.
Maybe instead of invading Iraq, we should have just taken over Haiti. It probably would have been cheaper.
I mean, yeah.
It's actually not on the
I mean, I think they would volunteer to be annexed.
I
by
bet
us.
top 10 poorest countries in the world.
It's not.
No, Liberia, Chad. I can't say that one. Yeah, it's not on there. Number one is South Sudan,
Look up-
poorest country.
Can you look up by year?
Oh, yeah, I probably
Maybe
can. This is
20.
2023.
Try 2010. I mean, I don't know why it would have money now and it didn't back then. But,
Yeah, it definitely doesn't have any fucking money now.
I mean, I feel like somebody told me. I mean, that's
It probably, well, it's maybe,
it's definitely rough.
yeah.
They ain't got
Yeah,
no-
I didn't mean to, I wasn't like,
No, they don't have anything. No, you're good. It's just
South Sudan GDP 516. That's all it says, 516. 500,000, I guess. It doesn't.
If it's not in the top 10, it's probably in the top 20.
I mean, it's bad. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe it's so poor they don't even count it as a country anymore.
And like the only thing separate, like it's a mountain range separating it in the Dominican Republic. But yeah, they're on the same island.
That's right. I remember looking at that thinking that was weird.
Yeah.
CNN has Haiti at number 27,
Oh,
poorest country in the world. That's not too bad.
out of what 200 and
Yeah, 200 something.
yeah, but it was bad. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. Well,
Now is that considering like I guess aid from other countries? I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's it. JD's tired of this stuff. So,
All right. Thanks again, guys. Don't forget, go social media pages, YouTube, all podcasting platforms
yep.
are all that we can think of.
If you can't
Website.
think of where to go, just go to the website. It's WadeShouldBeShow.com.
Send it to someone. We beat the algorithm that way.
See ya.
Next time.